I know it's really stupid. Honestly, each of these items, they are just such rookie things that I should have known, that I knew. Not that I should have known. I knew these things, and yet I was so distracted by other things that I forgot some of the most important basic lessons and items that you need to be thinking about when you're running an ultramarathon. What is going on, everybody? Dan the Ultra Dad back for another video. I hope all is well with you. I'm loving the summer. I'm loving the heat. If you follow me on Strava, you know that. You've seen that. It seems like every run I title loving the heat, enjoying the weather. So really having a good time out there. Thanks a lot for following me. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, definitely hit that subscribe button if you can. Hit the like, thumbs up as well, and hit the bell notification if you'd like to be notified of future videos. So, tonight, I'm enjoying a little beverage here, taking a page out of I Run on Beer's site, and really enjoying some of these summer beers anyway. So that's my choice tonight. I hope you're doing well. I hope you have a nice beverage. Tonight, I'm going to be discussing what went wrong at the Cruel Jewel 100. So if you haven't already, definitely check out my video. I go through the race as long as it lasted anyway, and I tell you how my race went. It's kind of a narrative take on the Cruel Jewel 100. It was an amazing adventure, a great race. Unfortunately, it ended very quickly for me. So I only got to about 50 kilometers for those that aren't running distances like that. I only got to 31 miles out of the 100 miles. So a little bit pathetic as far as the finish, as far as how I did. I really would have liked to do better. So definitely part of what I've been doing over the past couple weeks, it's been just over a week and a half now. I've been trying to deconstruct, do kind of an ultra autopsy, if you will, and figure out what went wrong and why it did, so that I can hopefully not let that repeat itself in the future. So it's not the first race that I DNF'd. I went a lot further at Fat Dog 120. The lessons I learned, though, I've come up with 5 that I'm hoping really will help me in the future. A big reason, if you watched my video, you know that I really hit a wall and had a bunch of pretty severe nausea with my stomach. And if there's anything I hate in this world, I mean, I can be beat to a pulp. I can be sore. I can pretty much take a lot except nausea. I hate feeling sick to my stomach. And that's what happened at this race. I've never really had such a strong sensation that I was going to throw up in any other ultra until this race. So it's kind of like my worst nightmare. It came to fruition at the Cruel Jewel 100 at exactly the wrong time. The wrong time was the first night as we went into darkness and the race, and you have to walk through 8 hours of darkness. That was just the wrong time to start feeling sick, and that's what happened to me. So the question is, why did that happen? And why was I unable to push through it? So I'd really tried to. I pushed through about 3 hours of nausea. That's a lot for me. I know some people will go for 10 hours of that, but I'm just not that person. So I suffered through as much as I could, and then I finally pulled the plug. The nausea was the biggest problem, I think. Really, my body was feeling great. I was only 50K into the race. I wasn't overly sore, but I think the nausea started when I could not take down calories, and I was having issues with dehydration because while I was still drinking, I could only drink water, because if I drank anything else, it would make me queasy, and I was afraid that I would lose it. So what started this process? What happened? I think the first thing and the first lesson that I can take from it is don't start the race hungry. I know it's really stupid. Honestly, each of these items, they are just such rookie things that I should have known, that I knew. Not that I should have known. I knew these things, and yet I was so distracted by other things that I forgot some of the most important basic lessons and items that you need to be thinking about when you're running an ultramarathon, especially a 100-miler. I really don't understand how I let this happen, but this race started at noon, and I woke up. I did not have breakfast, and I did not have lunch, and I started the race at noon. I mean, seriously, I don't get it. I mean, how could I be so stupid? When I started the race, I actually was feeling hungry. And I thought, well, maybe I'll lose a little bit of weight. Maybe it's not a big deal. It's just a little bit of hunger. What I unfortunately forgot about was I was about to enter a race in which the very beginning has just a brutal climb, several thousand feet, and I was about to burn a couple thousand calories right away, right off the bat. And when you don't have enough calories to begin with and you're hungry, aid station food is just not going to cut it for that kind of work in the beginning of a race. The other thing, these aid stations are amazing, but in every race you go to, the first couple aid stations usually are not intense food. It's because most everybody does the right thing and eats a ton of food, before the race, whether it be the night before. In this case, I should have had a big breakfast early in the morning and then probably an early lunch before the race started. There were multiple opportunities to carb load that I should have taken that I did not. Part of the reason was I think there were two main reasons why I didn't eat. Number one, I was just a little bit lazy and unprepared when it came to packing for the trip, and I forgot to pack food, even though I was in an amazing Airbnb and I could have easily been cooking for myself. But I didn't bring any food to cook. I did eat a nice dinner at a restaurant that was right next to a grocery store. I could have easily picked up food for the morning and then for a late carb load late in the evening. I mean, these are such basic things, honestly. Like, I can't believe I screwed up so bad. So, number one, don't start a race hungry and eat a lot of food and strategically at the right times before the race. Obviously, you don't want to go have a huge lunch before a 12 o'clock start. You might get sick after that. But my nausea wasn't due to the fact that I had food. It was due to the fact that my stomach was empty. And that is a terrible way to start a 100-mile ultramarathon. It's really hard for me not to laugh at myself right now at how stupid that was. Let's hit the second one. The second that I really messed up in this race was not bringing my own hydration mix. So by the time I started getting nauseous because I had burned so many calories, what I needed to be doing was getting calories any way I could. And one of those ways could have been through my bladder that I had in my pack. And I was drinking Tailwind early on, which was great because you do get some calories from that. You definitely get electrolytes and sodium that you need. But the problem was, at some point, I started to get so nauseous that the taste of the Tailwind was throwing me off, and I didn't want to drink it because I was afraid of what might happen. I was afraid of throwing up. So I went straight to water, which is probably, the second biggest mistake I could have made. Although it tasted better and I was able to get it down, what that meant was I was not getting nearly enough sodium and electrolytes through what I was drinking. And so it only compounded the issues I was having with nausea and with just a lack of energy. And so it was a vicious cycle where I knew I needed to be bringing more calories in, but I also knew if I tried that, I probably would dehydrate myself further by throwing them up. So sorry to get too graphic with that, but this is what happened. So the third thing is similar to the number one item, but the third thing on my list is I need to be eating early and often. You saw in the beginning, one of the things that I knew I needed to be doing was eating as much as I can during the race. I didn't take my own advice. I should have taken my time at the aid stations and crammed down as many snacks as I could get in. I had an empty stomach. Anyway, so I should have been eating more. I should have taken my time at the aid stations. And the next item kind of goes along with that. I needed to be running my own race. I was trying to keep up with a group of people that was moving a little bit faster maybe than was probably the right pace for me at that time in the race. I mean, we weren't really moving that fast, but I probably should have taken even more time. And so that was another problem. Run your own race. It's another key piece of advice that everybody will see on YouTube. Pretty much every ultra runner says this, but it definitely rings true. You need to run your own race and not let yourself and your competitiveness get in the way of what's smart. So I should have been going slower from the beginning. And then the fifth item that I think is obviously very important is when you do have nausea, I need to have a better strategy for dealing with that, so that it doesn't just end my race right away. It's just something I struggle with. I hate that feeling. And so it becomes very difficult for me to push through. People do it all the time, though. One of the things that I think I need to be ordering and bringing with me to Mohican are something called gin-gins, ginger candy, basically, or ginger gum. But basically, the taste of ginger, for many people, including myself, definitely settles my stomach. Anyway, those are the 5 things that caused me to fail and not be able to finish the Cruel Jewel 100. I just wanted to break it down and let you know what I've been thinking about the past couple weeks and why it happened. Every once in a while you have a bad race, especially with ultramarathons. And don't you worry, I'm getting back out for the Mohican 100, and we're going to take it. It's going to be exciting. I can't wait. My brother's going to be running with me as well. I Run on Beer is going to be there with his friend, his buddy. So it's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be tons of people. And in Ohio now, we're just now getting out of the lockdown situation. So it is very, very exciting, and it's going to be a blast. I just cannot imagine how exciting each aid station will be at the Mohican 100. So I'm thrilled about that. Quick shout out to my buddy Scott, who stopped me on the street today. I hadn't talked to him in maybe a year, and he said, "I'm still watching your videos, man. I'm not into running, but I still love watching the videos," and I really appreciate it, Scott. I hope that you get something out of these videos, whether it be for your running or adventures you do. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you get something out of it, and I greatly appreciate you watching. So anyway, I'm going to try to post a little bit more as we approach the Mohican 100. I have a big weekend of training lined up. I will go more into that tomorrow, hopefully. But until then, stay strong out there, and we'll catch you in the next one.